This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi was written by Anthony Oksenholt and was published by Oksenholt Biloxi Publishing, LLC. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice. Don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence.
They've had their say. Seems like they've had that kind of say around here for too long. Look, I had to stand up for myself alone. I went in there to remind them that somewhere in this world there's still a little law and order left. To let them know in the only kind of terms that their kind understand is that they can't bribe or threaten their way out of what they did. Let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Access 228, your host, Anthony Oksenholt, where we report the facts and we are not for sale. If you have a news story or something that's on your mind, please feel free to give us a call at 228-337-2099. Be glad to have you on. Thank you for listening, and we do appreciate all that you do to support us and keep free and independent journalism doing what we do best. All right, y'all. We're going to watch a series of videos here. Y'all fixing to find out why I seriously do not trust the fucking government. Before we get into this, though, Access 228, your host, Anthony Oksenholt. If you think it can't happen to you, you better open your fucking eyes. This is some East Germany secret police bullshit. And there's no other way to put it. I'm talking East Germany, East Berlin, behind the fucking Checkpoint Charlie and the Brandenburg Gate and the Berlin Wall, Soviet Union type shit. And I want to give a little bit of a preamble. Section 1983. That is a federal civil right that tells you that you can sue local and state agencies under violating your federal civil rights. You want to know who's exempt from that? Federal agencies. ICE, ATF, FBI, DEA, Homeland Security. All of these are exempt simply because they are federal. And now it has been extended to if a local law enforcement agent is on a federal task force, you also cannot sue them under Section 1983. This is, this case law. So, you have almost no recourse. Unless you can find something in Bivens, which, good luck, you have almost no fucking recourse against the federal government when they violate your rights. Let's look at some of the shit that's happened here.
You hear those whistles. We are performing an immigration action. He is not giving us the information we need to release him. If he tells us the number, he's gone. You hear him walk away. By that point, we will let you know if there's a warrant.
They don't even know you.
All right, pause it. Here it is. Okay, so here's the bottom line. If they're on private property, they need to have probable cause before they do anything. Or they need to have a warrant. You cannot have a warrant unless you have a specific person named in that warrant or for a specific thing. Like we're going into a place because we think at this specific location, there's evidence of this specific crime. If what you're doing is trying to find out, if you're trying to arrest someone you think is an undocumented immigrant, you must know their name. You must know who it is that you're going after. This is just some rando that they saw that they decided must be undocumented. And so they're saying, if he tells us his name, we'll come back with a warrant. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works.
I believe that was in Minneapolis. This is an example of going on what's known as a fishing expedition. There is no probable cause. There is no warrant. Clearly, the U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly upheld that your house, and I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, but the Supreme Court has clearly upheld that your house is the most protected place. It is the place where I can't, if I'm a cop, I can't just walk into your house. This has been repeatedly stated by the Supreme Court. I can't just come in there and say, hey, I'm taking you. That's not how this works. I have to have a warrant. But under Trump's ICE, apparently warrants are a thing of the past. Make America great again. Let's get rid of warrants. Even though warrants are one of the things in this country that actually make this country fucking great. The fact that you can't just run up in somebody's house and say, hey, yeah, cuff up, you're coming with me. Who are you? What's your name? Oh, you're coming with me unless you tell me your name. No. This is so un-American. It makes me sick. Let's see some more.
A look now at the Kenner boat launch where 15 people were detained during an ICE raid Friday evening. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Whitney Miller. Kenner police say federal agencies, including Immigration Control, were a part of that raid, but the chief could not say whether the people detained were undocumented or not. Winston Reed met with that chief today to learn more about what they call a large-scale operation.
Here is Kenner Police Chief Keith Conley explaining why ICE was involved in a large-scale operation where more than a dozen people were detained by federal immigration agents.
We brought them in because we knew there was going to be a large amount of Hispanics out there. We have had ICE assist us with some gang activity or some gang affiliations that come through the city.
You're saying because there were a large group of, or typically there's a large group of Hispanics in that area, that is what prompted the Kenner Police Department to bring in ICE in this investigation.
Our surveillance information received, intelligence, we suspected that there would be some illegal aliens or suspects with no status at that location.
State Police, FBI, and Homeland Security investigations were also part of Friday's joint operation, which was months in the making.
It seems like the activity was escalating into just lawlessness, everything from petty thefts.
No local charges were filed, and Kenner Police could not confirm the immigration status of any of the people detained.
What would you say to people who believe that Kenner Police Department may be profiling people simply because of their race, their skin color, rather than just the intelligence you gathered in this investigation?
We train, aggressively to prevent any kind of bias or racism, but certainly if anybody has a complaint, I welcome them to come in and launch an investigation through internal affairs or go to an outside agency.
Reporting in Kenner, Winston Reed, WWL, Louisiana.
And we also contacted a spokesperson for ICE, and we are waiting for a response.
I used to have a radio show in New Orleans. And on that radio show, I had a woman come on there several times by the name of Sandra 18 Wheeler Hester. I hadn't talked to her in years. I hope she's doing well. I have a lot of respect for Miss Sandra. Those of y'all from New Orleans, you know damn well who I'm talking about. Ride with her, get out the way, and get your ass run over. Now, Sandra 18 Wheeler Hester called the cops over there, called them the Crooked Kenner Cops. Let me put this into perspective for you, what I personally believe. And this is an opinion. If those people were illegal immigrants, the Kenner police chief would have absolutely said, oh yeah, we rounded up 15 illegal immigrants at a boat launch. No charges were filed, yet he's talking about petty theft and shit like that. Interesting. Very, very interesting. How you gonna sit there and say, oh, well, we don't have this and we don't have that, and, you know, we don't know this and we don't know that, but hey, let's go ahead and take 15 people, detain them, and possibly send them to a detention facility. Is this making any sense to anybody? No. Unless you look like me, you're probably fixing to get detained. And you're probably fixing to go to jail. Let's see what's next.
A man is now free following his arrest in Florida after he was detained at the request of immigration authorities. The state's highway patrol arrested 20-year-old Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez on Wednesday after a traffic stop. He was arrested for crossing into Florida illegally, then placed on a 48-hour hold for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The problem is Lopez Gomez is an American citizen who was born here in Georgia. He was traveling to Florida to work on a construction site in Tallahassee. A Leon County judge authenticated his birth certificate Thursday, and he was later released.
This man was arrested because he crossed into Florida. Born in Georgia. Because that checks out. Is this not another case of, unless you look like me, you might be a target? And of course, Ron DeSantis is, you know, he's got his nose up Trump's ass so far that I could see this. This is a U.S. citizen. This guy has every right to be here just as much as me, or presumably you. And all he was doing was going to work. Let's go to the next one.
The man we spoke with is a U.S. citizen. He provided us with documentation of his legal status. He says this experience has shaken his faith in the immigration enforcement efforts of President Donald Trump, for whom he voted, he says. This is what Yenzi Machado managed to record on his phone Wednesday. He says while he was driving to work with two other men, he was stopped by ICE agents on Lamont Drive in Manassas, a short distance from his home. He says he was confused by what was happening, why agents surrounded the pickup truck. He spoke with our sister station, Telemundo 44 reporter Rose Belis Quinones, who was the first to report his story.
And they just got out of the car with the guns in the hands and say, turn off the car, give me the keys, open the window. And, you know, everything was really fast.
Machado says the agents said the name of a man they were seeking for a deportation order, someone who had given Machado's home address. He said that was not his name, and he did not know anyone by that name. He offered to show them this, his Real ID compliant Virginia driver's license. It has a star in the upper right corner and requires proof of lawful status.
They didn't ask me for any ID. I was telling the officer if I can give him the ID, but he said that just keep my hands up, not moving. And then After that, he told me to get out of the car, and then he put the handcuffs on me. And then he went to me and said, how did I get into this country? And if I was waiting for court or if I have any case. And I told him I was an American citizen. And he looked at his other partner like, you know, smiling, like saying, can you believe this guy? Because he asked the other guy, do you believe him?
Machado said he was uncuffed and immediately released after showing his driver's license. The two men with him were taken into custody. He does not know why. The incident has caused him to reflect.
Definitely, because like I say, I was Trump supporter. I voted for Trump last elections, but because I thought it was going to be the things, you know, like be pointless, like just go against criminals, not every illegal Hispanic looking like that they will assume we are illegals, you know.
So, do you think that's what they're doing now?
That's what they're doing now. They're just following Hispanic people looking like.
Immigration lawyers suggest that residents and citizens carry ID with them at all times. In Manassas, Jackie Benson, News 4.
I'm trying to figure something out here. I want to know how many Germans of Jewish descent voted for Adolf Hitler when he was elected in 1934. I really want to know this. Not, keep in mind that, Trump sleeps with Mein Kampf next to him. He said that that's one of his favorite books. And this is definitely some Gestapo tactics. It's nothing less, nothing short of it. There's nothing American about this shit. There's nothing freedom about it. This man tried to show ID, but was put in cuffs anyway. He tried to say, hey, look at me. Real ID. Got the star. And they didn't care. They did not care. And the immigration lawyer saying, if you look like you're Hispanic, carry your ID. No. Carry your ID, but carry a fucking firearm. 100%. Because this is bullshit. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. Let's look at this next one.
U.S. citizens testified before members of the Senate and House Tuesday, detailing the moment they encountered federal immigration authorities.
I identified myself as a U.S. citizen and a veteran, but that didn't matter.
I begged them to tell me who they were and where they were taking me.
Their testimonies are among the more than 20 included in a Senate subcommittee report titled Unchecked Authority. The report denounces federal immigration authorities, saying U.S. citizens have been physically assaulted, pepper sprayed, denied medical treatment, and detained at times for days. During today's forum, video showed moments of the encounters, including the moment federal agents crashed into Diane Figueroa's vehicle in Chicago. She and others describe inhumane conditions. Their accounts parallel what people with varying immigration statuses have reported.
I repeatedly told them that I was recovering from 2 recent kidney surgeries. No one took it seriously until I began to pee blood.
I was unable to access drinking water without first purchasing a cup. I was thirsty.
In July, U.S. Army veteran George Retes of Southern California was arrested at this immigration raid in Camarillo while showing up to work, saying he was detained naked in a hospital gown on suicide watch.
I remained in those conditions from Friday morning until the moment I was released. My family had no idea where I was. I was released without explanation and without a single charge.
Reporting by ProPublica found about 130 cases this year where U.S. citizens were arrested at raids and protests, including about a dozen elected officials. Those arrested accused of interfering with or assaulting officers. Those cases were often dropped.
If you love the Constitution as much as I do, and I'm willing to kill or die for it, you should be fucking pissed. You've got a fucking president who's sending ICE agents to detain American citizens. Let me put something into perspective for y'all. In case y'all have never stepped foot behind a fucking gate, let me tell you what happens. I'm sure this is exactly the same at ICE detention facilities. But let's get down to it, shall we? You go to jail, and I'm pretty sure they do the exact same thing I used to do when I'd get a criminal off the street coming into a county jail or a convict transferring in from a different prison that I worked at, whatever. Let me go ahead and tell you what one of the first things we're gonna do. We're gonna take all your clothes and we're gonna strip search you. Do you know how dehumanizing it is to have to show your dick and balls to another fucking human being? It is necessary. That is how we control contraband coming in, but I'm pretty sure ICE does it too. Make sure that you ain't got no weapons or nothing on you ain't supposed to have. Then you take that person, you take their fingerprints, you take their picture, give them the standard, usually scrub issued or maybe a jumpsuit, I'm not sure which. And you stick them in a cage and you close that door behind them. You have essentially taken their freedom. This is why we have the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, the 14th Amendment in this country. And this is also why we have the Second Amendment, god damn it. I am 100% in favor. 100% in favor. If you are a U.S. citizen and ICE tries to detain you, that's kidnapping. Kidnapping is a forcible felony. My personal thoughts are you can defend yourself with lethal force. And you should. Yeah, I said it. Match force with force because they can use lethal force against you. But really, can they? No. They actually cannot. They're in violation of the fucking law already. The problem is I'm going to go back to what I said about Bivens, which makes federal agents above the fucking law because you can't sue them under Section 1983. If the Democrats gave a shit, they would have fixed that. They didn't. The Republicans don't give a shit either. They won't fix that. And it'd be very easy to do. I might actually message Mike Azell later and let him know that this needs to change, although I doubt he's going to do it. Though I don't understand why, being that he's a former lawman himself. I'm really trying to figure out why we're permitting such lawlessness to be carried out by our own federal government. I am disgusted at what I'm seeing. I am appalled at the actions of these agents. I don't fucking get it. I don't get the mindset of somebody who would take that job. I certainly wouldn't take it. There's no way in hell that I would accept a job that would force me to snatch innocent people off the street. And let me tell you, I have put a lot of bad people in cages. I'm talking people that fucking deserved it. Murderers, rapists, child molesters, scum of the earth, dope dealers. You know, I'm talking some bad people, multiple fucking mass murderers. And I had no problem doing that. I have never knowingly stuck somebody in a cage because they were born in the wrong fucking country. I've never done that. And they talk about, well, gang this and gang that. I didn't see any gangbangers. I'm pretty well versed in STGs. I've had my training on it, quite a bit of it. STG is another term for gangs, by the way, in prison. I didn't see any MS-13 there. I didn't see any of this shit. I saw U.S. citizens. I saw people that were minding their own business. And as far as that woman in Chicago that was crashed into by ICE, that's assault with a deadly weapon or aggravated assault. You think you can't kill somebody in a car accident? Oh, yeah. Why are we allowing this? Why are we allowing the federal government to behave in such a way? I don't fucking get it. I'm gonna tell you, if one of these targets turns around and fucking shoots one of these ICE agents in the fucking head, I'm gonna say motherfucker had it coming. That person will probably not live to tell the story. And I'm sure that the government will spin something about, oh, look, an illegal immigrant, whether he was illegal or not, used a gun on federal agents. I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to say. Because they got to spin the story their way. You know, the federal government controls the fucking media. We all know this. But I'm telling you, if it happens, I'm not going to feel a damn bit bad for that son of a bitch. This is our founding fathers are rolling over in their fucking graves right now. Our founding fathers are so fucking disappointed in us, all of us. You know, we used to hang the stamp man from Liberty Tree in this country. But people are afraid to speak out. I'm not. I'm not afraid to speak out. I am a legal U.S. citizen, you motherfuckers. And I am 100% against what these people are doing. I ain't even gonna call them people. There's no human element with them. They're just a machine. They're pieces of shit. I used to have friends that worked for ICE, retired, and I would like to think that my friends that work for ICE would be ashamed at what's going on. As an American citizen, I'm appalled at what I'm seeing. This is not what America's supposed to be. On the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give me you're tired, you're hungry, and you're poor." I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we need to have corporate welfare and Section 8 and give them all this money and all this other shit. I'm not saying that. I'm against that too. But if somebody wants to come to this country and work, make a better life for themselves, fucking let them. Fucking let them. If they're not violating a real law, in my opinion, immigration laws are not real laws. Yeah, I say let them fucking come over here if they want to be productive citizens. These are not people that were engaged in human trafficking. These are not people that were doing a bunch of dumb shit. These people were minding their own goddamn business. And it's a goddamn shame. And if you think it's right, what they're doing, what they're putting these people through, what are you going to do when they come for you? What are you going to do when somebody comes for you? When somebody comes into the curtilage of your house, which is protected by the Fourth Amendment by several Supreme Court rulings, and demand your ID? And if you think you're exempt from it happening, you're not. I'm going to detain you at gunpoint until I know who you are. No, that's not how warrants work. But that's the game they're playing. And it's fucking pathetic. Y'all have a good day.